Do you even know how healthy your internet is? Do you even know if you're getting what you're paying for or even know what you're supposed to be getting? No? Well, with the new broadband nutrition labels, we know exactly what we're supposed to be getting, and I can show you how to read them. And if you're not getting what you expect, I can kind of give you some tips on how to improve things. Okay, let's take a look here what I'm supposed to be getting from broadband speeds through my internet service provider right here. And we'll take a look here at the broadband nutrition label. When you take a look at the label, it'll explain everything from how much the monthly service is, any fees, and extra costs that are supposed to be associated with it. You'll see right here in clear plain text, looks very similar to the nutrition labels that you see in food. Now, what we're going to pay attention to closely here is the download and upload speeds, which you can see right here what my expected downloads are and what my expected upload speeds are supposed to be. Now, these are technically in theory, so there's a lot of other things that kind of factor into this, but this is roughly around what I should be getting or close to what I should be getting. And when I do a speed test here on my own PC, it's just Ookla speed test. There's many others out there, but this is probably the most popular one a lot of people know. You'll see right here that I'm actually getting faster than what my plan is supposed to be in terms of downloads and really hitting the max right on my uploads. But there's a couple of reasons why that is happening, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But if you're not getting these speeds, you're not seeing these things here, there's a couple of things you may want to check to look into to try to improve this. Now, the first thing I would do is check to make sure you have the latest firmware on the gateway from your internet service provider, if that is the one that you're using, to make sure you have the latest updates. If you're using a third-party one, you also want to make sure the profile is correct onto there. So you probably want to call to your customer service and for your internet service provider to make sure all the settings are right and whatever you're seeing on your bill matches to what's actually supposed to be on the modem. I've seen that sometimes there could be some mismatches there, and that's why you're possibly not getting the speeds you just sort of expect with that. So definitely check that out there. Also, if you are using a router, so you're using your gateway in bridge mode and using it as a modem and then using a separate third-party router, you want to make sure the router has all the latest updates and firmware along with it as well too, and all your settings sort of correct on there. And go ahead and do a reboot of both, and then after that test just to see if things get a little bit better, if the internet service improves. Another thing you want to make sure is if you're using a separate router, to make sure that it's plugged into the right port inside the modem that supports gigabit speed that is faster than 1 gigabit, because if you are paying for that, not all the ports support that. So make sure to plug it into the right one so you're getting the right speeds coming in. If it doesn't improve or get anywhere close to what you're paying for, there may be some time for some equipment upgrades to sort of look into. Now, remember when we tested my internet speeds and we saw what I got in terms of speeds and it was above what I was sort of getting? Well, one of the reasons that is because I do have a newer router with my system which supports much faster speeds. It actually has a 2.5 gigabit WAN port, and because of that, it's able to get over the standard 1 gigabit that you normally see on most of the standard WAN ports that you see out of there, and that's why I'm getting those faster speeds. Another reason I'm able to see it on my PC is because my desktop here actually has a 2.5 gigabit and even a 10 gigabit port. So as long as I have those connections sort of plugged in and I'm plugged in direct to my router, that's why I'm seeing those fast download speeds come with it. I'm getting the maximum bandwidth that you kind of see with that. And that's one thing you're kind of probably want to see if you have speeds over a gigabit or expecting to get over that. You probably want to look at maybe upgrading equipment in sort of those aspects. I also see it over Wi-Fi as well too, but mainly over Wi-Fi 6E, which is going to support these faster transit speeds, which my phone actually is able to do this. Not many other devices kind of have this right now. It's kind of building up over a period of time. I think the latest 2023 MacBook Pros do have this, and a lot of the more recent Intel systems over the last couple, 2 or 3 years, laptops probably have Wi-Fi 6E, maybe Wi-Fi 7 built into it, which will be able to support these transfer speeds as well too. Now, if your current router has Wi-Fi 5 or Wi-Fi 6, it's not really going to reach those speeds over a gigabit consistently enough because those protocols aren't really made for that. And if you're only plugged into a standard 1 gigabit port, you're going to kind of see that limitation. It'll probably hit somewhere around anywhere between 700, maybe close to 900 megabits per second, depending upon the speed. If you're dealing with gigabit Ethernet in terms of your internet speeds, it might peak over that a little bit now and then, but it's not going to happen very often. So also remember with this too is that it's kind of like bandwidth. You want to think of it as most devices are probably not going to need that amount of speed right away. You're gonna be sharing that with all your other different devices. So it's more important to make sure that your gateway and your router is bringing the internet in is getting that full bandwidth, so you can distribute that bandwidth across all your different devices, because very rarely you're gonna need one device that's gonna need 1.4 or 1.5 gigabits per second directly to it. So you just wanna keep that in mind. I'll leave a link below in the description to the router and sort of equipment that I use, but fair warning ahead of time, it is not cheap, but I do wanna recommend something that I use that is working for me well, that I'm personally using. I'll recommend the router I'm using right now. I'll also recommend a mesh network that I used before as well too. Again, they are not cheap, but I know they work well for people that have internet connections that are over 1 gigabit in terms of speeds. So if you are paying for that, you probably want to look at getting equipment up to that point if you are paying for those speeds. It's going to be a little bit more pricey, but there are some lesser options there, but I want to recommend specifically what I've used myself. Now, if you already have a good router that's Wi-Fi 6, there could be something else that could be causing some of your performance issues if you're still having it, and it is called Smart Connect, and you may want to disable it. I talk about it in this video right here. It's going to replace this recommended video because this video is coming out first. For right now, go ahead and do some testing of your home internet beforehand, and then do some of the tips I've done in this video and tell me what you got after the fact. Give me a before, give me an after in the comments, and I can't wait to read them and interact with you down there. Thanks for watching.